So you know how I'm always saying this inclusivity stuff is bullshit? There's further proof of that because Taylor Swift brought out a new song called Anti-Hero. Now, I've not heard the song. I don't listen to Taylor Swift's music. I'm not really interested in anything that she puts out. I think she put out one song that I really liked. I can't remember.
Which song was that?
It's the bait one, you know, like damn it, they did a parody of it on Supernatural as well. You know her really popular song?
She's got loads of really popular
No, there's one that stands out. The Shake It, is it called Shake It Off?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I like that song. That is that's the only Taylor Swift song I know that I can actually like get behind.
Guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's my guilty pleasure. There's actually a video of me on Instagram working out to it. But anyway, she put out a song, and in the song, it depicts her standing on top of a scale, and on the scale it says fat. Now, I didn't know this about Taylor Swift. I came to learn this having seen this whole like debacle and seeing the fact that she had an eating disorder. So for however skinny she is, I think she had that body dysmorphia is what they call it. She saw herself as fat. So when she got on the scale, no matter how skinny she was, she saw herself as fat.
That's basically anorexia though.
Yeah, and she depicts that in the video. So she stands on the scale says fat. What do you think happened? People got offended. And she went back and edited that part out.
People are going to get offended because she's a really, really skinny girl doing something like that. So do you know what I mean? So it's going to be bigger people that are going to get offended as well.
How can they get offended? How dare they get offended at something like that? If she sees herself a certain way, if that's how she goes through her day to day and she's got body dysmorphia or anorexia, that's completely invalidated because we've upset fat people. There's loads of people that I know. There's even guys that I know that go to the gym that are in great shape, that think they're fat. They have that image of themselves. And they're not allowed to experience those things because you've hurt the feelings of fat people. So much so that she has to go back and edit it out of her music video. Like, where is the sense in that? So it says Taylor Swift had to water down her artistic expression and how she chose to portray her lived experience with disordered eating because people found the use of the word fat in her Anti-Hero video very offensive. Why would you find it offensive? Why? I'm struggling to understand this.
So do you think, though, that doing something like that is basically saying that there's a problem with being fat?
She had a problem with being fat.
No. Forget about Taylor Swift. If you're a fat person and you're watching this music video and it's basically her stressing because the scale's saying she's fat, it's basically putting a message out there that's saying it's not okay to be fat.
And what would be wrong with that?
Because, look, at the end of the day, we just done a video based on is being fat a choice. Okay, you can call it a choice, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with people being fat. There's nothing wrong with fat people.
No, they're not bad people, but objectively being fat is unhealthy.
Okay, regardless of it being unhealthy, though, some people are just fat. It is what it is. But you can't then just look down on them or think that there's a problem just because they're fat. And putting something like that, but putting something like that in a video, I understand Taylor Swift's concept behind it, but it is just putting this thing out there that being fat is a problem.
It's a problem for her. That is her artistic expression. That's how she feels about herself. Someone might have a problem with being muscular. Who am I to tell them that feeling that they have is invalidated? I might think it's ridiculous, which I do. But it's if she feels like she is fat even though she's not, and that's what she sees herself as, why can't she express that?
No, because being muscular has never been a problem. But people make people feel shit for being fat.
But she's not making anyone feel shit for being fat. She felt shit because she doesn't want to be fat.
I understand that, but I'm looking at it from the other side of where people might have felt upset about seeing this in a video.
So what if it was the other way around? What if it was an overweight person that saw themselves as extremely skinny?
Okay, all right, let me give you an example, yeah? Forget about that. Let's say, for example, I think I've got a big nose, yeah? So if I've seen a music video now and this person's there in the mirror and they're like, they've got a big nose and they hate it and they're like going through plastic surgery to fix it and things like that. Will I get offended? No, because I don't cry about things like this. But would I find it a bit upsetting that it's frowned upon to have a big nose, or you're deemed as not good enough, or you have to have a nose job to have a smaller nose to be deemed as pretty or good enough? Yeah, it would be quite upsetting. It would be quite defeating.
But that's how that person feels. There might be people out there that love having a big nose. If she feels like She doesn't like having a big nose.
No,
How
but
can anyone else get upset about
it's
that?
what's being put out there and portrayed to the rest of the world. This is not okay.
But that is her. She's not saying that being fat is not okay. She's saying being fat for me was not okay. Is she not allowed to say that? She's not saying that being fat is wrong. She hasn't said that. Taylor Swift never said that. She never made any allusions to that. She depicted that because it felt wrong for her.
I understand that. I don't think Taylor Swift has done anything wrong here, but I'm just looking at it from the opposite side of the coin right now as well. And I'm trying to understand the emotion behind it.
Okay, so you're playing devil's advocate, but where do you really sit on this?
Well, it's a difficult one because I'm not a sensitive person in that sense of I don't really get bothered by what other people say and do, but I can understand why other people would have got upset.
What? Even though you know that it's her artistic expression, it's how she feels about herself.
Yeah.
You can understand why they'd get upset.
I can understand where the outrage and backlash has stemmed from. I'm not saying she's wrong for what she's done. I'm not saying I agree with these people, but I'm just saying I can understand why this has become a thing.
And do you think that she should have gone out and edited it out of the video?
No.
Why? If you understand why they're upset, why would you keep it in there?
I don't think that you should have to go and change something that you've done for yourself because of the opinions of other people. Does that make sense?
Say that again.
If she's created this is her song, this is her masterpiece, this is what she feels like putting out there. Just because other people don't like it, that shouldn't mean that she should have to change it. Do you know what I'm saying? If I went out wearing a tracksuit and somebody didn't like it, I shouldn't have to change just because someone else didn't like it. Does that make sense?
So you're basically saying that you understand why they're offended. They have the right to be offended, but they can stay offended.
I'm not saying they have the right to be offended. I'm just saying
I can
understand why people feel upset about it, because it's almost making other people not feel good enough. You know, if
it's baffling to me that I would see somebody else's experience and attribute that to myself, because there's people out there that might be perfectly comfortable. The way I see it is, if you're offended by this, if you're genuinely offended that she had body dysmorphia and she felt that being fat was wrong for her, you probably know it's wrong for yourself. Otherwise, why the hell would you be offended?
I think it's insecurities.
No, people get offended because it touches a nerve. Because people know this is a problem for me and I can't get over this.
No, I disagree. I think it's insecurities.
Yeah, it touched a nerve because they're insecure.
No.
I mean, if you're insecure and someone touches a nerve, you're gonna lash
Not
really,
out at them. No, because I feel like, okay, going back to the example I just gave you with the nose situation, it's not touching a nerve for me, but it's something I'm insecure about. So yeah, it might upset me seeing it.
But if something upsets you, it touches a nerve.
Yeah, but not in the way that you're explaining it. You're explaining it in a way of it's touching a nerve, knowing that you feel guilty that you shouldn't be fat. I don't see it as that. I see it as I can't change the way my face is.
Yeah, but you're talking about something else. Feeling guilty about being fat is something that oftentimes you cause yourself. Feeling upset that you have a certain facial feature that you don't want isn't your fault. You're just born that way. So if we're excluding people that have issues with their thyroids or issues with gaining or losing weight, and we're just talking about the general public, it's not the same as you being born with a certain face. You can't do weights for your face or anything. The most you can do is get a facelift. In my opinion, it's not a good example, because when I'm saying these people feel a certain kind of way and it's touched the nerve, it's because it's self-inflicted. Someone not liking their nose is not self-inflicted. They're just born that way. Their only option is really plastic surgery. That's why they're not the same thing. I wouldn't put how you feel about something and your facial features in the same boat as a fat person feeling some kind of way about her experience on this planet in the same boat. I don't think they're even remotely similar. You see my point?
I understand your point. You've got a valid point there. I'm not going to disagree with that. But I just feel like it's because fat people have been made to feel a certain way for a long time about being fat, and that's probably why it can get upsetting.
All right, well, let's read the rest of the Cuts article. I've gone into the Cuts article now, and they said, immediately after its release, people started criticizing the use of the word fat, calling the video fatphobic and insensitive. Shira Rosenbluth, a licensed clinical social worker who specializes in helping clients with body image issues and disordered eating, called out Swift's use of the word fat on Twitter, calling it a shitty way to describe her body image struggles. Rosenbluth continued, fat people don't need to have it reiterated yet again that it's everyone's worst nightmare to look like us. Rosenbluth was just one of many critics to accuse Swift of fat phobia, which of course then led to a wave of fans coming to her defense, kicking off a debate on fat phobia, disordered eating, and body dysmorphia.
Okay. So this is exactly my point. So here she's written specifically, fat people don't need to have it reiterated yet again that it's everyone's worst nightmare to look like us.
But it's Taylor Swift's worst nightmare. And it's fair for her to have that nightmare. You people can't tell other people how to feel about their bodies. If someone doesn't like being fat, that's their own prerogative. That's their opinions. That's the way they want to look at themselves in the mirror. If they don't want to be fat, and she is an artist and she's creating a music video and she wants to display in some way how she felt about her body, you people have no right to start calling it fatphobic. She's not saying it's wrong to be fat. She's saying it's wrong for her to be fat. I don't know where you get off saying that you're inclusive and then you behave in this way. It's genuinely frustrating to see these people who claim to be inclusive, who claim to want to represent everybody, everyone's struggles, everyone's lived experiences, their favorite term. And then Taylor Swift puts out a video like this, and this is the response she gets. You have to be so far up your own arse to start tweeting at her, calling her fatphobic. What did she say she was? A psychologist for body image issues. Taylor Swift had a body image issue, and you called her fatphobic over it. So wait, let me get this straight. If I look in the mirror and I don't like the way I look, I think I look a bit podgy, I can't express that anymore because I'm going to upset people.
No, you can.
My experience is invalidated because of the feelings of a bunch of people.
No.
I can't express that.
You can express if you don't like the way, if you feel like you're a bit too fat, you can express that. Loads of people do that. But I think for someone like Taylor Swift, who could be considered an idol for a lot of young girls, putting something out there like that could be very detrimental to a lot of young girls' mental health as well. Because it says almost as if their idol is putting out there that it's not okay to be fat.
It's not though. It doesn't make them bad people. People make bad choices. It doesn't make them bad people, but being fat is unhealthy. You will die sooner. It doesn't mean I hate fat people. I don't. We have fat friends.
Yeah, but coming from someone like Taylor Swift, it's not going to be coming from a place of, I don't want to be fat because it's unhealthy. It's coming from a place of, I don't want to be fat because it doesn't look nice.
It doesn't matter though.
It does though, because that's two different things, because you're saying it's not good to be fat because it's unhealthy.
Yeah, that's one side of it.
And then it's some people saying, I don't want to be fat because it doesn't look nice. And then that's making these young girls feel not good enough because they're fat.
How is it? How have you, if that's genuinely the conclusion you've made from seeing this, then you need help. Honestly, you need help. Taylor Swift doesn't like being fat. Now, whether she's been fat or not in her life is not important if she has body dysmorphia. Or are we only validating like dysmorphias that you guys have? There's nobody else's lived experience matter other than yours. If she feels that way about herself, who are you to jump on her back and say, oh, this made me feel some kind of way? She never said it was wrong for you to be fat. She never said it's wrong for anyone to be fat. She said it's wrong for her to be fat. That she didn't like feeling that way. Then you've got this woman here, feminist. Look, this woman's got a problem with her using the word fat. And her Twitter handle is feminist. I'm honestly at a loss for words. She said, as an actual fat person, genuinely, how are we supposed to feel seeing this, watching a thin person remind the whole world that one of their biggest fears is being fat, is looking like me, demonizing the word fat while never having the experience of living in a fat body, fatphobic.
I can understand it.
Help me understand. I just don't get it.
I can just understand it.
No, help me and help the people at home understand. Because I really don't get where they're coming from. I'm genuinely baffled.
Because it's just making them not feel good enough.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Let's say that, let's say this body positivity movement goes to the next level and everyone's on board and fit bodies start getting demonized. Being fit is no longer the norm. It's now the shame thing. It's the thing that everyone looks down on. Do you think anybody with a fit body in their right mind is going to look at somebody, let's say they do a music video and they've got muscles or they're a problem with being fit? Do you think I would be offended by that?
No, but it's just...
But why do you think I wouldn't be?
I just don't think you can compare the two.
No, I'll tell you why I wouldn't be offended. Because there's nothing for me to be offended about. Because I know that the way I'm living my life is the correct way. The problem and the reason why you're offended is because you know you're not. Now, like I said, you're not a bad person if you're fat. I'm not throwing you under the bus for that. But if you are offended because somebody else doesn't like to be fat and they depict that in their own artistic way, then you have a problem with yourself.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like I've explained my thought process behind it, but you're not understanding it and you're not getting it.
I'm really not. I'm trying my best to understand it, because if Taylor Swift has said being fat is wrong and she's talking to the population, I would have been like, okay, well, she's attacking fat people. That's another discussion that we can have. But she stood on the scales to depict how she felt about herself. So all I'm getting from this is we can no longer say that being fat might make me feel like shit. We can't say that I don't want to look fat anymore. This is my worst nightmare. And genuinely, being overweight is one of the worst things that I can imagine for myself. But that's how I feel. I'm not putting other people down. We can't say that anymore. And this is proof of that. She put something out that she believes for herself, not for other people, and people jump down her throat for it. So all I'm getting from this is we can no longer express that for us as an individual, that being fat is wrong, because we're going to upset a group of people and be called fatphobic. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think that people can express how they feel about themselves, yes. But I think when you are an idol to many young girls, putting something out there like that is detrimental. That's all I'm saying. I understand your point. She's talking about herself. I understand that. But it's the concept behind it of making out like there is a problem with being fat, or you're not good enough if you're fat. And then a lot of young girls are going to look at that and just feel shitty about themselves because they're fat.
Okay, so the detriment is someone will feel shitty about themselves because they're fat. Does that mean
they're going to feel like they can't be accepted because they're fat?
Accepted by who?
By the world.
But we've got a whole body positivity movement. You guys have a whole movement that accepts you. So what? I don't understand. Who's not accepting you? Who's not accepting it? You guys have a whole movement. Who's not accepting them now? Oh, we all have to accept that being fat is okay. Is that what I'm getting from this?
No, it's not about that. But it should just be put out there that it doesn't matter whether you're fat or skinny or muscly, whether you're too tall or short, whether you're... Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone is equal. Everyone should be accepted as they are, and that's it. It shouldn't be an issue.
But we're not all equal. We're equal in the eyes of the law, but it's wrong to tell fat people that they are, let's say in health-wise, that they're equal to somebody that's fit. They're just not. That's bad advice.
No, but forget about health. Please just forget about health.
Okay.
I'm solely talking image here.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone is offended by this just based off image, what does that tell you? That they have a problem with their own image.
They're insecure, yeah.
Right. Even in the wake of
and then something like that makes them feel worse.
Okay, so if they feel insecure about something, they must know something is wrong. Generally, when you feel insecure about something, you don't feel right about something.
Okay, yeah. My example that I gave, now what?
Right, so if you feel insecure about something, instead of attacking somebody, why don't you do something to fix your own situation?
No, because this is the point of it. So if I'm insecure about my nose, and someone puts a video out there online about noses, I shouldn't have to feel like I have to undergo surgery and pay all this money to change my nose because other people don't like it.
Your nose is a bad example. I'll tell you why.
It's still about image though, and people, and you're talking about their insecurity, I'm talking about my insecurity. It's an insecure thing.
Yeah, but something on your face is something that you're born with. If someone puts a video out there about your nose and you take it personally, that's one thing. Even then I could argue against that. But with this situation, this is a choice, like we said last time. And if people are feeling a certain kind of way about it, then they should do something about it to make themselves feel better. The fact that you could see somebody on a TV screen talking about their own experience and get triggered by it of something that you can change, something on your face you can't change without money.
I get your point. I get your point.
Yeah.
If they're feeling insecure about it, then they know it's an issue, they could do something about it. But the point is that they shouldn't feel insecure about it because people shouldn't judge them just because they're fat.
But she wasn't judging anyone. She was judging herself.
Oh, Michael, we're going around in circles.
But we're not talking about the health thing.
We're going around in circles.
Yeah, because I'm trying to put across that she's not putting anything out there attacking people. She was talking about herself.
She's not attacking people, you're right. But she's not just a normal person walking down the street talking about her own problems. She is an idol to many, many, many young females.
So she can't put out anything that she says now because it might upset someone.
She should be careful about what she's putting out, because it can affect a lot of people.
Now, let's say, yeah, that she had something else that she didn't like about herself and she struggled with that.
Like, I want examples.
I don't know. Maybe she had one leg. Let's say she had one leg, and then she put that out that it was a nightmare to live like that. And she might genuinely feel like that. What? Because there's disabled people on the planet, she can't express that.
I don't feel like the two can be compared.
How? If I'm fat, right? Because I've been fat before. I can tell you it was a very, very unpleasant time in my life for a multitude of reasons. It's not something that I ever want to relive. If she is someone that like loses her leg or whatever, and that is a nightmare for her, that turns her entire world upside down. And there's loads of people out there that suffer.
Because you're bringing it back to health again.
That has nothing to do with health. That's image, right? People are going to see you.
No, but it's still health. You're walking around with one leg. It can more so be deemed.
No, you're healthy. Your leg's gone, but you can still move around. Let's forget health. That's purely image, right? Let's say that
you can move around on one leg. It's not the same, though, is it? It's just being
Sabi,
fat.
you said forget about health, so we're not talking about health. We're talking about image. Let's say she's got one eye. Anything.
It's still, all of that is still health, though.
How is having one eye health?
Okay, so what about if she's got alopecia then? Do you want to use that one?
Okay. What's that got to do? That's image.
Yeah. Image. Okay.
Yeah, let's say that that's been a nightmare for her.
Yeah,
That's
it has
really
been.
sucked,
Yeah,
and she expresses that.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of people with alopecia get upset.
Yeah, because it's making it out that it's. Do you know what? I'm gonna stop.
Do you see my point?
I understand your point. Yeah, but I don't think you see my point. That's the issue right now. And I'm trying so hard to explain it, and I'm not dismissing what you're saying at all, because you are right in a lot of aspects, but you're not really trying to understand my thought process and concept behind it.
Okay, just lay out for me one more time. Summarize what your point is.
I've said it about 5 times.
Okay, summarize it for me.
Okay. Taylor Swift has had her own experience of being maybe anorexic or body dysmorphic disorder. I understand. She wants to express it through music, through a story, which she is allowed to do. I don't think what she's done is bad or wrong at all. I can understand why people might have gotten upset about it, because as a big idol to a lot of people, it's almost as if something is being portrayed to say that if you're fat, you're not good enough, you're ugly, you don't look nice, etc. It's giving that sort of portrayal there where people are feeling like it's sad, no one ever wants to look like us, what's wrong with us? And that's very detrimental to a lot of people's mental health, because they feel like they're just...
Is that what she did, or is that how you've interpreted it?
That's how I'm interpreting why people are upset about it.
Okay, so you're interpreting how these people with, I'm sorry to say, no brain cells have interpreted this. But how did Taylor Swift put it across? Did she say that these people are bad for being fat, or that being fat is wrong for all these people? Or did she get on a scale to express that being fat was a nightmare for her?
Watching a thin person remind the whole world that one of their biggest fears is being fat and looking like me.
Yes,
that's sad.
Sorry.
That's sad.
It's not sad.
It is sad.
Sorry, it's just
it is sad, because not everyone wants to be healthy and go to the gym and be fit. Some people just are the way they are. Okay, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them just because they're fat, and that is my point.
Then
everyone should be accepted. You're saying we're not all equal, but as humans and who we are as people is equal, and you should accept people, like I said, whether they're fat, skinny, tall, short, whatever. Everyone should just be accepted as they are, and there's nothing wrong with everyone. Like when I said to you before, everyone's beautiful in their own way. So if someone wants to be fat, let them be fat.
She's not telling anyone they can't be fat, though. I've understood your point.
No, but you haven't.
But I have.
But you haven't.
But your point is besides the point. That's the problem with it.
No.
Your point is besides the
because
point.
I've already said to you, I agree with you. And I don't think Taylor Swift has done anything wrong, but you're not understanding the overall concept of...
No, what you're doing is legitimizing the way they've interpreted it. And the way they've interpreted it is wrong. They've taken it the wrong way. That's the problem here. You are siding with people that have interpreted what Taylor Swift done as wrong.
I'm not siding with them.
But you're trying to understand them when you don't need to.
I'm not siding with the fact that they have made her feel like she's wrong for putting what she's put out there, because that's not wrong. But I'm just trying to explain to you on a different level now that yes, people have insecurities and they shouldn't have to go and change it just because other people make them feel like it's horrible and ugly to be fat. That's my point.
Okay, I get your point, but that is besides the point, because she's not doing that. If you interpret it that way...
I just said that, though.
I get that, but that's besides the point, because that's not what's happened.
Okay.
We have to confront reality here.
Okay.
You're talking about an alternate reality where Taylor Swift has done this on purpose. And I know you're also saying in the same breath that she hasn't, but you're arguing two things.
Because of who Taylor Swift is.
It doesn't matter how
and when
famous
you're
you are.
when you're a celebrity in the public eye and, you know, a lot of people look up to you, I personally think you should be careful what you put out there.
Okay, I can get behind that. But there is zero wrong with what she did here. If we just take the health thing out of it, if she doesn't want to be seen as a fat person and that makes her feel some kind of way, she should be allowed to express that.
I'm going to ask you one question then.
Okay,
so if you can agree with that, Taylor Swift being a big icon, having a lot of fans, do you think it's fair to put something out there that does demonstrate that there is something wrong with being fat? Whether it's her personal experience or not, and she doesn't want to be fat, do you not think it's a bit awkward to put something of that sort of touchy subject out there when she may have a lot of fat fans as well, and she is looked up to by many?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Because if she has that many fans, and we're talking about responsibility, she has a responsibility to tell young girls that you will not live a long and fulfilling life if you are overweight. If these people can walk around telling young girls that it's okay, accept yourself for however you are, it doesn't matter if you're 200, 300 or 400 pounds, irrespective of the health detriment that it has to you, then why can't we say it's not okay? Why do we have to accept a fallacy? If you decide tomorrow that you want to put on 500 pounds, go right ahead. But if you're walking around appearing on Good Morning Britain, Good Morning America, telling people it's okay, no, there has to be pushback against that, because we know it's not okay. Objectively, we know it's not okay. So I stand behind Taylor Swift doing this, even though that was not her original message. That was her experience. It was not about you. You made it about you. If you got a problem about it, do something about it. It's like I said, I ain't got a problem with fat people. Live your best life. That's how you want to be. That's how you want to be. But you can't walk around telling people it's okay to fuck up your health. And then when people say to you, no, it's not okay, you get upset and we're the bad people. Your advice kills people. Me telling people that it's not okay to be like that, you should go to the gym and look after yourself, does not kill people.
Yeah, but there's being fat and then there's being unhealthy fat.
No, being fat is unhealthy. You can be very, very, very overweight and it's worse. It gets worse as you put on more weight, but being overweight is unhealthy. You're not meant to be overweight, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
Depends on what you're defining as overweight.
For your own body type, if you're overweight, it's not healthy. Overweight implies that you are... I mean, we're not talking about because muscle weighs more than fat. If you've got an abundance of fat on your body, you're unhealthy. Now, again, it's a free country. Go out there and do whatever you want. But if you're out there telling people, oh, you know, it's okay to look like this, to be this way, that's fine. Tell people that. But you have to accept there's going to be pushback. And objectively, the right thing is to tell people to look after themselves. It's not wrong to tell people that. But I'm digressing. People that are getting on her for this, I am genuinely shocked.
You can tell people to look after themselves, but you don't need to tell people that you're ugly because you're fat.
I didn't say that. I didn't say... You're putting words in my mouth.
I'm not putting words in your mouth.
When did I say that they're ugly?
Because the whole thing is that I was saying to you from the get-go that the whole thing is based around image, not health.
But if she feels ugly for being fat, then that's okay because she feels that way. She didn't say being fat is ugly. She said for me, I find it's ugly for me. And she's
portraying exactly what this girl is saying, is that her biggest fear is looking like me.
And maybe her biggest fear is
making her not feel good enough.
Maybe her biggest fear is looking like Taylor Swift. If she doesn't feel good enough looking at somebody else talk about their lived experience, there's a problem inside. Okay, because there's no music video that Taylor Swift can put out about muscly people or fit people and make me feel some kind of way. So you know there's a problem. If you know there's a problem, stop projecting and fix it yourself. If you have the means to. If you don't, then I have all the sympathy in the world for you. But if you do, and you got a problem with something like this, there's a problem at home. Address the problem at home before you start tweeting about bullshit like this. So I ain't a Taylor Swift fan, but I stand with Taylor Swift. I don't even think she's defended it. She edited it out of the video anyway. She's part of the problem as far as I'm concerned.